Champ down.
Yes, I didn't say. What are you looking so sad about, Champ?
I'm surprised. I mean, I'm really insulted. I mean, that's not right, what you just said.
What do you mean, what I just said?
I mean, I'm getting a drink of water. I'm late getting home, but you talking. I said something about the greatest heavyweight champ, man. I'm a hometown man, and you talking about Joe Louis, man. Joe Louis wouldn't be nothing for me. Joe, I tell you, Joe, do you think you would have stood a chance with me?
Well, one time in my career, I was on a Bummer One tour.
I would have been a bum compared to you.
What's happening, my people? It's Cast Sports again, back for another afternoon with the family. That's right. You know what time it is. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Box Story, bringing you all that boxing history. Boxing is the greatest sport of them all. That's why we love it. Can't get enough of it. Salute to Miss Cass, because without her, none of this would be possible. Salute to everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cass Sports, the Box Story. Today, the life and career of the Black Panther, Harry Wills. The Black Panther, Harry Wills, has the family today. It's Friday, time for the profile. This is the end of Black Boxing History Week, part of Black History Month. And we're going to talk about Harry Wills, and we got a couple of other Black pioneers boxers too. Harry Wills, Sam Langford, Jack Johnson, Joe Jeanette, Sam McVeigh, and the old master, Joe Gans. Time permitting, we will get them all in today. But we're going to start out with the Black Panther, Harry Wills, #1 contender for years with Jack Dempsey's crowd. Never got his shot. They didn't want to make any interracial heavyweight fights because of the riots and stuff that happened after Jack Johnson beat the white fighter just James J. Jeffries. They had race riots all over the country. Hundreds of people got injured. 20 people actually died during the riots. So the government gave the promoters orders not to make any mixed heavyweight championship fights. And after Jack Johnson and Jess Willard in 1915, there was not another black fighter in a heavyweight championship fight until 1937, when Joe Louis came along. We covered the World Colored Heavyweight Championship yesterday. Today, the Black Panther, Harry Wills. And there he is, up on the screen. Well, his fights this weekend, all I know, biggest name I heard is Ephraim Jogba, Charles Martin from Las Vegas. But remember, next week is another early big fight for 2026. Mario Barrios, Ryan Garcia. Seems like a lot of people counting Barrios out. Don't do it. The right Barrios shows up, Ryan could suffer another loss. So we'll see. That's next weekend. Next week is fight week for that. Okay. But today, Profile Friday, the life and career of the Black Panther, Harry Wills. And again, some other pioneers from the early 1900s. Again, Sam Langford, Jack Johnson, Joe Jeanette, Sam McVeigh, and the old master, Joe Gans. We'll try to get them all in today. Okay. Great black fighters from the early. All of them were heavyweights except for the old master. All of the heavyweights held the colored heavyweight championship, which we covered yesterday. Only one held the regular world championship, Jack Johnson. And he drew the color bar against his own people, like Joe Jeanette said. He forgot his old friends when Jack Johnson got the regular heavyweight title. He used the excuse that two black fighters wouldn't sell. Okay. But Harry Wills, great. He held the colored heavyweight championship for years. And we're going to get into it in a few moments. After we do our fight of the day, of course. Got to start the show with a classic fight. Fight of the day. So let's get ready to get into today's fight of the day. But how's everybody? It's Friday. Back to the weekend. Fights tomorrow, but remember we got another big one next weekend. And 3 championship fights on the card, remember? Barrios putting his title on the line against Ryan Garcia, and Gary Anton Russell putting his title on the line against Andy Hiriaka, and of course Richardson Hitchens putting his on the line against Oscar Duarte, and Frank Martin also on the card. Great card. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Frank is fighting Nahir Albright. And he got into it with the Davis boys down there in Norfolk, Virginia. Remember that one? Mm-hmm. Yep. He got mixed up in the back. Keon Davis lost, and I don't know what happened after that. But Nahir is back in action tomorrow against Frank Martin. That could be a good matchup. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that next weekend, though. Okay, let's get ready to get into our fight of the day, get things started. Okay. For Friday, February 13th. Friday the 13th. All right. The life and career of the Black Panther, Harry Wills. But first, the fight of the day for today. Let's get into it. So now, without further ado, today's fight of the day. Okay. Today's fight of the day is Ike Williams versus Bojack, July 12th, 1948. The end of the line for Bojack. The end of the line for Bojack. Okay, let's see what that's all about. End of the line for Bojack, not Bo Mac. That was his nickname. I'm going to tell you his real name when we get into it. Okay. But how's everybody this Friday afternoon? Cat Sports the Box Story. We get ready to get started. Our today's fight of the day. Here we go. Again, Ike Williams versus Bojack, July 12th, 1948. The end of the line for Bojack. By 1948, everyone knew the party was almost over for Bojack. The former lightweight king and the all-time champ when it came to headlining main events at Madison Square Garden, Jack had always brought out the big crowds, thanks to his swarming, fast-paced, ball-swinging style. But Philadelphia's Shibe Park was barely half full for the first clash in the Williams vs. Jack series. Those that came were treated to a brawl for the ages and a finish that left even the most hardened and fatalistic fight fans shaking their heads. The tale of Bojack is a singular one in regard to its symmetry. We can only hope this legendary warrior with a heart as big as the stadiums he sold out fully appreciated his time at the summit of the sport, because once it was over, he had virtually nothing to show for it. Now, Bojack's real name was Sidney Walker. He shined shoes for a living before he started boxing. And so thoroughly was he fleeced of his ring earnings over the years that after his career ended, back he soon went to buffing other people's leather until it shined like honey. Shut up, Jack. Bojack. Yeah. Fleeced him of all his money. He had to go back to shining shoes after his career ended. Going into the fight, few gave Jack a serious chance of defeating champion Ike Williams, one of the deadliest punchers around at that time. Ike had already stampeded through the lightweight division, knocking everyone out, including Bob Montgomery and Bobby Ruffin, boxers who had defeated Jack in recent outings. Bo hadn't made the lightweight limit in over 4 years. And after all those wars with the likes of Montgomery, Ruffin, Tippy Larkin, Sammy Angut, Henry Armstrong, Fritzy Zivik, and Johnny Bratton, people knew the best of Bojack had already come and gone, though his finest performances would be long remembered. Heart and courage like Bojack's remain rare and splendid to see. Shout out Ike Williams, by the famous artist Damian Burton. But to everyone's surprise and delight, for 3 rounds, the brave Jack turned back the clock. He put the champion on the defensive as he drew his left jab with abandon, snapping out 5 or 6 at a time, slipping under the champion's lead while landing his own, and moving inside to throw serious uppercuts and hooks. Williams fired back, and the exchanges at close quarters were truly ferocious. Towards the end of the second round, Jack landed a series of cracking left hooks and then a huge right that stunned Williams, forcing him to clinch. At the end of the round, Bo trapped Williams on the ropes before landing another big right hand. The slugfest continued in the third, with Jack forcing Williams to clinch again after landing another wild right hand. But the champion's shorter, sharper punches were starting to carry the day. Williams was timing the smaller man and beating him to the punch. In the fourth round, he began catching Jack on the way in, hurting him with counter rights. A suddenly tired Jack had lost the snap on his jab, and now Williams was muscling him about the ring and battering him. But Bojack was on attack at one time. That's him on the left. The fifth round began as a toe-to-toe slugfest. Both men getting home big shots. But with Williams clearly the more powerful puncher, this had turned into a match Bojack could not win. To his credit, he never gave up, never stopped trying to land a big wallop that might turn things around, never stopped giving the fans that heart and courage they love to see. But by the end of the round, there was no denying the champion had seized control while the challenger was spent, a worn-out husk of a once great and indefatigable warrior. Smelling blood, Ike landed 3 solid rights, followed by a left, and Jack sagged, the round ending before Williams could take advantage. But the challenger was finished. He had given all he could. Regretfully, he would have to give more. A hurt and exhausted Bojack stumbled out of his corner to start the 6th round, and Williams wasted no time deciding matters. Encountering virtually no resistance, he stepped in and let his hands go. A series of solid punches ended with 2 devastating lefts that stunned the challenger and sent him reeling backwards into the ropes. Sensing the finish, Williams unleashed a furious rapid-fire attack, battering his defenseless opponent with both fists, seemingly every punch landing, the barrage viciously snapping Jack's head from side to side. The challenger, helpless and dazed, staggered into a neutral corner. Trapped there, the ropes holding him up, his hands off to each side, and his head an exposed target. Bojack's huge heart and immense courage had finally betrayed him. Too gutsy for his own good, he stood and absorbed a truly sickening beating, blow after blow, raining down. Williams pausing in his attack to turn and glance over at referee Charlie Daggett as if to ask, "You want me to keep hitting him?" Incredibly, as Bojack simply stood there and stoically awaited his execution, the referee signaled for Williams to continue. Ike landed 4 more heavy shots on his defenseless opponent before Daggett, coming to his senses, finally leaped between the fighters and signaled the end. Yeah, but he took long enough. Bojack took a terrible beating. Bojack said later, "He got me pinned up in a corner and I couldn't get away. He's a great fighter. It was Bojack's last title fight, so he was some 7 years away from retirement, with future clashes against Williams, as well as Kid Gavilan and Lou Jenkins awaiting him. More wins and nights of glory, to be sure, but also more punishment and losses, 4 in total to Ike Williams. And sad to say, in the end, Bojack had precious little in the bank to show for all those big fights with his name in tall letters on the marquees of Madison Square Garden, Chicago Stadium, and Shibe Park. Yep, and there you have it, the fight of the day. Ike Williams versus Bojack. Won by Ike Williams. Yeah, Bojack took a terrible, vicious beating that night. Okay, today's show. The life and career of the Black Panther. Harry Wills. Okay, Quest the Legend is in the building. That's the Morning Man, 6 o'clock p.m. Monday through Friday. Fire podcast. Salute Crush. Technique in the building. Salute Technique. Happy Friday to everybody. And Arnie Box. Another Fire podcast. Monday through Friday, 9 o'clock at night. Salute, Arnie. How are you today? Arnie also calls fights, boxing, wrestling, UFC. Does it all. But salute, Crush the Legend, Technique, Arnie Boxing. Yeah, today we're going to talk about Harry Wills. They call him the Black Panther. Again, happy Friday to everybody. We got Ephraim Jogba and Charles Martin tomorrow. Next week is Ryan Garcia, Barrios. A lot of people counting Barrios out. I don't know. I don't know. What kind of frame of mind Ryan in. And what Barrios shows up too. But a great card, like I was saying earlier. The killer Gary Anton Russell got his title on the line against Andy Hiriaka. That's the co-main, 3 title fights. The third one is Richardson Hitchens and Oscar Duarte. And Richardson's title on the line. Frank Martin returns to action against Nahir Albright, the guy that got into it with the Davis brothers down there in Norfolk, Virginia. One Davis brother got lost in the ring, so then they want to beat the man up in the locker room. But yeah, that's next weekend. Next week will be fight week for that one. Great card, man. Gary Anton Russell, Richardson Hitchens, Frank Martin. Gary Anton Russell and Eddie Hiriaka could be the main event on that one. They're the co-main to Ryan and Barrios. Yep. But 3 140 pounders on there, Gary Antoine, Hitchens, and Frank Martin. So we could be seeing some kind of mix up between them. You know, Gary, Richardson, Hitchens both win. They might be next. Gary will beat Richardson, Hitchens. I don't even think it'll be that hard. It might stop Richardson. But yeah, let's get some of those unifications going at 140. Great division, full of talent. Okay, but let's get going with Harry Wills, the Black Panther, life and career. And also today, we're going to have some other Black pioneers, Sam Langford, Jack Johnson, Joe Jeanette, Tam McVeigh, and the old master, Joe Yaz. That's a brief look at all of them, but we're going to go deep on Harry Wills, so let's get started. There's Harry. Called him the Black Panther. He was 6'2", around 210. That was huge for back in the days. because the average heavyweight was like 180, 185. Perry always had a big size advantage in his fights, 210 is small now to these big 6'9" like Fury and Joshua. Wilder like 6'7", but 6'2", 210 was huge back in the 20s. Okay. Perry Wills was an American professional heavyweight boxer, active from 1911 to 1932. Renowned as the Black Panther for his aggressive style and dominance in the ring. Standing 6 feet 2 inches tall and weighing around 220 pounds, Wills compiled a record of approximately 131 wins, including 50 knockouts against top opponents, while holding the World Colored Heavyweight Championship on multiple occasions during an era where racial segregation limited opportunities for black fighters. Those 131 wins were including newspaper decisions and everything. His official record on box record, 70 wins, 9 losses, 3 draws, 56 knockouts. That's an 80% knockout ratio. He fought the legendary Sam Langford 22 times, securing several victories, and defeated other elite black heavyweights like Sam McVeigh, establishing himself as the preeminent non-white contender in the division during that era. Despite consistent rankings as the #1 challenger to world heavyweight champion Jack Dempsey, throughout the 1920s, Wills was repeatedly denied a title shot due to prevailing racial prejudices that restricted interracial fights at the highest level, a barrier acknowledged across boxing historical accounts. His career highlighted the systemic exclusion of black athletes from mainstream titles, yet his skill and resilience earned posthumous induction into the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Okay, let's look at the early life and background of the Black Panther. Early life and background. All right, early life and background. Childhood and entry into boxing. Perry Wills was born on May 15th, 1889 in New Orleans, Louisiana. Growing up in the port city during a period of economic hardship for many black Americans, Wills engaged in manual labor from an early age, including work as a longshoreman, loading and unloading cargo vessels on the docks. This physically demanding occupation honed his strength and endurance, contributing to the formidable build, approximately 6 feet 2 inches tall and over 200 pounds, that would define his boxing presence. Prior to entering the ring, Wills participated in labor activities, including leading pickets during a longshoreman strike, which led to his arrest and underscored his early assertiveness amid industrial tensions. With limited formal education and no recorded amateur boxing experience, he transitioned directly to professional fights around 1910 to 1911, debuting against lesser-known opponents in regional matchups that showcased his raw power. His entry into boxing reflected the era's opportunities for black athletes in segregated sports circuits, where physical prowess from everyday labor often served as informal training. By 1911, Wills had begun compiling wins, establishing himself as an emerging heavyweight contender from the South. Okay, so let's look at his professional career now. professional career for Harry Wills, the Black Panther. Pro career. Okay. Mike Rem, salute Mike. Life and career of the Black Panther, Harry Wills. We also going to take a look at Sam Langford, Jack Johnson, Joe Jeanette, Sam McVeigh, and the old master, Joe Gans. Let's salute Mike Masick. Happy Friday. Okay, we just started his pro career now. For Harry Wills, pro career. Early career and initial successes, 1911 to 1918. He had a 21-year career. We're going to focus on the first 7 years right now. Harry Wills began his pro boxing career in New Orleans, Louisiana, with his debut on January 2nd, 1911, against Casey White, whom he defeated by knockout in the 4th round. Early fights were primarily local, establishing his presence in the heavyweight division through victories over opponents such as George Kid Cotton and Jimmy Sullivan in 1913. These initial fights demonstrated Wills' punching power and resilience, contributing to an undefeated streak in his formative years. By 1914, Wills expanded his schedule, traveling to venues like San Francisco and Vernon, California, where he secured wins against Battling Brandt, Willie Meehan, and Sailor Grande. He faced established contenders early, including draws with Joe Jeanette and Sam Langford, and a loss to Langford by knockout in the 14th round on November 26, 1914. A defeat to Sam McVeigh followed in December 1914, but Wills rebounded with a victory over John Lester Johnson in March 1915. These encounters against top black heavyweights honed his skills and built his reputation as a formidable challenger. A pivotal success came on September 15, 1915, when Wills defeated Sam McVeigh to claim the World Colored Heavyweight Championship at the Atlas AA in Boston. In 1916, he defended the title against Langford on January 16th, but lost it by knockout in the 19th round on February 16th. Subsequent newspaper decisions favored Wills in rematches, including one in St. Louis, where Langford was floored in the 2nd round. Victories over Jeff Clark, George Kid Cotton, and Jack Thompson that year solidified his standing, with Cotton quitting after 4 rounds in June. From 1917 to 1918, Wills engaged in high-profile rivalries, suffering an injury-laden retirement against Battling Jim Johnson in February 1917, but rebounding with wins over Thompson, Langford, and Johnson. In Panama City, he achieved 3 consecutive victories over Langford in 1918, including a knockout in April and a stoppage when Langford failed to answer the 8th round bell in May. Because remember, he fought Langford 22 times. Additional triumphs over McVeigh and title defenses against Clark underscored his dominance, compiling approximately 38 wins against 5 losses in this period, positioning him as a leading figure in the segregated heavyweight landscape. Okay, now his rise as a colored heavyweight champion, 1919 to 1925. Rise as a colored heavyweight champion, 1919 to 1925. Following his capture of the World Colored Heavyweight Championship by a 6th-round knockout of Sam Langford on April 14, 1918, Wills defended the title extensively from 1919 to 1925, solidified his status as the premier black heavyweight of the era. In 1919, he defeated Langford twice, in July and September, by 10-round newspaper decisions both times. And he defeated Joe Jeanette in October by another 10-round newspaper decision, with each fight recognized as a title defense. These victories against enduring rivals underscored Wills' technical superiority and stamina in extended newspaper decision formats, common under prevailing boxing rules. Wills continued his dominance in the 1920s, securing a 15-round newspaper decision over Langford in April, and quick knockouts against lesser challengers like Andy Johnson in March. He racked up further title defenses against Bill Tate twice in 1921, Jeff Clark, 1921 and 1922, and Denver Ed Martin, 1921, maintaining an undefeated streak in colored championship fights during this phase. Although he suffered a disqualification loss to Tate in January 1922, Wills rebounded with a win over Langford later that month, preserving his claim amid disputes over the title status. By November 1923, Wills retained the championship with a 4th-round knockout of Jack Thompson at Madison Square Garden, demonstrating his knockout power against a formidable Missouri contender. Over this full period, he engaged in 31 fights, achieving 28 wins, including 8 knockouts, 1 loss, and 2 draws, while also beating white heavyweights such as Fred Fulton and Gunboat Smith in interracial fights that highlighted his broader capabilities despite racial barriers. This rigorous schedule against top colored division talent, including repeated clashes with Langford, against whom Wills held a 62 record overall, affirmed his unchallenged reign until external pressures mounted later in the decade. Now, some key rivalries and interracial fights. That's him and Louis Firpo right there. Wills developed his most prominent rivalry with fellow black heavyweight Sam Langford, engaging in 22 fights from 1914 to 1926, where he secured 6 wins, suffered 2 defeats, and they had 14 no-decision outcomes due to prevailing newspaper decision rules. In many jurisdictions, now this series underscored Wills' dominance in the colored heavyweight division, as he twice stopped Langford while adapting to the smaller fighter's aggressive style across various weights and venues. He also prevailed over Sam McVeigh in 3 encounters and had 2 draws with Joe Jeanette in no-decision fights, solidified his position by outlasting these established black contenders through superior reach, power, and endurance. Interracial fights remained rare amid the rigid color line enforced by many white promoters and champions. Yet, Wills demonstrated his prowess against prominent white heavyweights when opportunities arose. In 1914, he defeated Willie Meehan, a San Francisco brawler, who later beat Jack Dempsey twice and had a draw with him twice. This highlighted Wills' early capability against top non-black opposition. On an unspecified date that year, Wills outpointed Meehan in a fight that affirmed his technical edge. Wills extended this success into the 1920s, knocking out Gunboat Smith in 1921 after weathering the sailor's rough tactics, a win that bolstered claims of his world-class standing. He followed with a commanding newspaper decision over Louis Angel Firpo on September 11, 1924. That's him and Firpo on the picture there. This is in 1924 at Boyle's 30 Acres in Jersey City, New Jersey, dominating the Argentine slugger over 12 rounds before a crowd of approximately 75,000 fans. The pinnacle came on July 2nd, 1925 at New York City's Polo Grounds, where Wills stopped Charlie Weiner, the Newark Adonis, by second-round knockout, exploiting a 28-pound weight advantage and landing decisive body shots to end the fight abruptly. Yeah, Wills always had a big weight advantage, though, because he was like 210, 215, 220, and the average heavyweight was in the 180s, 185, somewhere around in there. He had a 28-pound weight advantage over this guy. These victories, though limited in number, provided empirical evidence of Wills' ability to compete beyond racial confines, even as broader barriers persisted. So now, pursuit of the regular world heavyweight title. Let's talk about that. He never got it, but he did try to get a fight with Jack Dempsey, but he never got the opportunity to fight for the regular title. But let's talk about his pursuit of the regular world heavyweight title. Following his establishment as the world colored heavyweight champion in 1920, Harry Wills repeatedly positioned himself as the leading contender for Jack Dempsey's world heavyweight title through a series of high-profile victories and public challenges. By 1924, Wills had compiled a record that included wins over notable heavyweights, prompting promoter Tex Rickard to announce the title fight against Dempsey for September 6th at Boyle's 30 Acres in Jersey City. The announcement was retracted on July 5th, with Rickard stating Dempsey would not fight Wills. They announced it and then they rescinded the announcement. That was the first time it fell through. In March 1925, the New York State Athletic Commission demanded that Dempsey sign for a fight with Wills within 24 hours or face suspension from New York fights, resulting in Dempsey's barring when he declined. Negotiations intensified in July 1925 when the commission lifted Dempsey's ban to facilitate talks again, and Dempsey formally accepted Wills' challenge. However, Dempsey evaded signing articles shortly thereafter. By September 1925, both fighters had signed contracts in Benton Harbor, Michigan for a 1926 title fight, with Wills guaranteed $50,000 and Dempsey $125,000. So $50,000 in the 1920s was like $800,000 to $1 million now. $125,000, well over that, like $5-10 million nowadays in 2026. So Wills was guaranteed $50,000, Dempsey $125,000. But the proposed fight collapsed without a secured venue or promoter backing, amid reports of insufficient financial guarantees. Dempsey later attributed the failure to the absence of his promised guarantee, stating in 1963 that he had desperately tried to arrange the fight, but the deal fell through. Before any rescheduling, Dempsey lost his title to Gene Tunney on September 23, 1926. So there that went, right? The Wills subsequently challenged Tunney by his manager's letter, but received a 30-day suspension from the commission on October 20th, 1926. Despite public support, including a newspaper poll favoring Wills with 31,073 votes, he never secured a world title opportunity. But I heard that when Jack Dempsey was still champion, they offered Wills a fight with Gene Tunney, but for some reason I've never been able to find out, Wills turned the fight down. Now, Jack Dempsey was champion. If Wills would have accepted that fight and beat Gene Tunney, there would have been no way he couldn't have got the fight with Jack Dempsey. But for some reason, he didn't accept the fight with Tunney. But after Tunney beat Jack Dempsey, then he wanted to fight Tunney. But it was handed to him on a silver platter. If he would have accepted that fight and beat Tunney, they would have had to give him the Dempsey fight, right? And then guess what? When Wills turned down the Tunney fight, Tunney automatically got the Dempsey fight. So he should have took that Tunney fight. He wins that. No way he don't get the Dempsey fight. But I can never been able to find out why he turned that fight down. Now, let's talk about some racial barriers and controversies. Racial barriers and controversies. There's him and Sam Langford again. Racial barriers and controversies. Okay. Like and subscribe, please. All right. He should have took that Tunney fight. I'm not saying he would have won it, but if he would have won it, the Jack Dempsey fight would have been automatic, because when he turned the Tunney fight down, Tunney went straight to the Jack Dempsey fight. Let's talk about the color line a little. I know we talked about it yesterday, but the color line in heavyweight boxing. Talk about it a little bit more. Now, the color line in heavyweight boxing, reinstated after Jack Johnson's defeat by Jess Willett on April 5th, 1915, effectively barred black contenders from challenging for the world title held by white champions, persisting until Joe Louis's opportunity in 1937. Now, they didn't have to reinstate it after Jack Johnson's defeat, because Jack Johnson held the regular world title from 1908 to 2015, 7 years. He only fought one black fighter himself. So the color bar was still in effect while Jack Johnson was champion. Okay? And it went all the way up until Joe Louis came along. This unwritten racial barrier stemmed from fears of social unrest. His interracial title fights, like Johnson's, had previously sparked riots and backlash against white supremacy norms in the early 20th century America. Even Jack Johnson and James J. Jeffries fought. Jack Johnson beat him, and they had race riots all across the country. 20 people lost their lives. Hundreds were injured. So the United States government gave the promoters orders not to make any interracial heavyweight title fights. Okay? Non-title, okay, but no heavyweight, no interracial heavyweight title fights. Anyway. Promoters and commissions prioritize commercial stability and public safety over merit-based matchmaking, confining top black heavyweights to the parallel World Colored Heavyweight Championship, which lacked recognition as the Undisputed Crown did. Perry Wills emerged as the era's premier black heavyweight, capturing the colored title on April 24th, 1918 by a 6-round knockout of Sam Langford, and defending it against elite black opponents like Langford, whom he fought 22 times, and others, amassing a record underscoring his dominance. Wills repeatedly challenged world champion Jack Dempsey starting in the early 1920s, posting forfeits with commissions to force a fight, positioning himself as the #1 contender by virtue of victories over white fighters like Floyd Johnson in 1924 and a string of knockouts against top-tier opposition. On June 15th, 1922, Dempsey formally signed an agreement to meet Wills under New York State Athletic Commission auspices. Yet, the fight dissolved amid logistical disputes. By May 1923, the New York State Athletic Commission demanded Dempsey fulfill the challenge or risk sanctions, but Governor Alfred E. Smith barred the matchup in New York, citing risks of racial violence akin to post-Johnson disturbances. Dempsey instead defended against white or Latino challengers like Louis Firpo, while Wills continued dominating the colored division in interracial non-title fights. Yeah, the New York State Athletic Commission ordered the fight, but then the governor of New York came in and barred it. And they heard that he was under orders from the United States government to not allow that fight in New York. And they was telling other governors and boxing officials all over the country not to allow, and also venues, not to allow the Dempsey-Wills fight. Promoter Tex Rickard, scarred by the 1910 Johnson-Jeffries fights aftermath, that was when all the riots and stuff happened, Tex Rickard refused to underwrite a Dempsey-Wills title clash, arguing it would incite riots and fail commercially, despite Wills' drawing power in Black communities. Dempsey's manager, Jack Doc Kearns, eschewed business concerns, though Dempsey himself later insisted he never ducked the fight, having engaged Black opponents in exhibitions like against Sam Langford in 1922. Negotiations gridlocked further in 1926, with Rickard demanding excessive guarantees from Wills' camp, leading to collapse. Some analysis attribute this to infighting rather than outright conspiracy. Yet, race undeniably factored as commissions and venues shunned high-stakes interracial titles. Boxing historians widely view Wills as the color line's most egregious victim, his exclusion preserving white dominance amid empirical evidence of his readiness. Over 130 wins, including newspaper decisions, over 50 knockouts, while enabling lesser white contenders like Gene Tunney to claim the throne in 1926. This barrier not only stunted Wills' career, but exemplified causal links between institutional racism and boxing's governance, where profit motives mask deeper prejudice. Let's talk a little bit deeper about the Dempsey-Wills negotiation and fallout. The Dempsey-Wills negotiations and fallout. Okay. TGIF is Friday. The Dempsey-Wills negotiations and fallout. In June 1922, Jack Dempsey and Harry Wills signed contracts to fight for the heavyweight title, marking the first formal agreement in their protracted negotiation, though New York Boxing Commissioner William Muldoon opposed the fight, and it failed to materialize. Subsequent efforts persisted amid pressure from state athletic commissions. On July 18, 1925, the New York State Athletic Commission lifted its ban on Dempsey, imposed due to prior licensing disputes, to permit negotiations with Wills, who is recognized as the leading contender. Contracts were signed that year, guaranteeing Wills $50,000, but the promoter failed to deliver Dempsey's larger purse, causing the match to collapse despite both fighters' apparent willingness. By 1926, another set of contracts were executed between Dempsey, Wills, and the Chicago Coliseum Club for a September fight, with the club depositing $50,000 in escrow as required. Yet Dempsey withdrew when additional financial assurances for his guarantee did not materialize, prompting a lawsuit from the promoter for breach. Wills initiated multiple legal actions against Dempsey for contract violations, including suits tied to the unfulfilled 1922 and later agreements, underscoring their repeated breakdowns over funding shortfalls, rather than outright refusal by Dempsey himself. The New York Commission repeatedly mandated Dempsey to defend against Wills or risk license revocation, but interracial fight bans in key venues, combined with promoter inability to meet Dempsey's demand, $200,000, thwarted execution for this fight to happen. The fallout eroded Dempsey's title legitimacy, fueling accusations of racial avoidance and the era's color line, which barred black fighters from world championship fights since Jack Johnson's 1915 defeat. Critics, including boxing historians, argued Dempsey exploited public prejudice against interracial fights to sidestep a dangerous opponent, as Wills held a 78-3 record with knockouts over top contenders. That's including newspaper decisions. Dempsey and manager Jack Doc Kearns countered that signed contracts across years, evidenced in at least 4 attempts, demonstrated intent, with failures attributable to external racism from commissions and insufficient rate rejections in a prejudiced market, not personal ducking by Dempsey. This impasse delayed Dempsey's defenses for over 3 years until 1926, shifting focus to white challengers like Gene Tunney, while Wills, dubbed the Black Panther, continued dominating non-title fights against perceptions of systemic exclusion over individual cowardice. Later career, retirement, and death. Okay, winding down on it. Later career, retirement, and death for the Black Panther. Salute Mike Mazik. Happy Friday. Life and career of the Black Panther Harry Wills today. Right? Salute. Okay. And then we also got Sam Langford, Jack Johnson, Joe Jeanette, Sam McVeigh, the old master Joe Gans. Those are the short ones. We went in deep on Harry Wills. Later career, retirement, and death. Okay? For the Panther. Decline and final fights, 1926 to 1932. In the latter stages of his career, Wills showed signs of physical decline after 2 decades in the ring, suffering defeats against younger, rising heavyweight contenders. On October 12, 1926, at Ebbets Field in Brooklyn, New York, the 37-year-old Wills was disqualified in the 13th round of a scheduled 50-round fight against 24-year-old Jack Sharkey for excessive holding after being repeatedly battered and outboxed. Sharkey, weighing 188 pounds to Wills' 215, dominated the fight, staggering Wills in the 5th round and leaving him weary in subsequent rounds before the foul ended the contest before 10,000 spectators. And he had like a 27-pound weight advantage over Sharkey. But he was getting older then. This loss, which forced Wills to vacate his World Colored Heavyweight Championship, highlighted his fading speed and defensive capabilities against pressure and younger opponents. The following year, on July 13, 1927, at the same venue, Ebbets Field in Brooklyn, Wills, now 38, was knocked out in the 4th round by Paulino Oscar Dunn, a 28-year-old biased contender, weighing 195 pounds to Wills' 215. Another 20-point weight advantage. Oscar Dunn floored Wills for a 9 count early in the round, then delivered the finishing blow as Wills rose unsteadily, underscoring the toll of accumulated ring mileage on the veteran's durability. These setbacks against Sharkey, who later became world champion, and Oscar Dunn, marked the shift from Wills' earlier dominance as his power punching waned amid increasing vulnerability to aggressive mobile, and younger fighters. Wills continued sporadically into the early 1930s, engaging in lesser fights and multiple comebacks amid reduced activity, including a fifth attempt in 1932, with 3 recent victories, 2 by knockout in New York. His final professional fight occurred on October 19, 1932, at age 43, after which he retired from boxing. By this point, the once formidable Black Panther has fought over 80 documented professional fights across 21 years. His longevity reflecting resilience, but also contributing to the evident physical wear that curtails his contention for top honors. Retirement and post-boxing life. Okay? Retirement and post-boxing life for the Black Panther, Harry Wills. Okay, let's talk about his retirement and what he did post-boxing. Now, he was good with his money. He wasn't broke like a lot of fighters ended up, okay? Wills retired from professional boxing in 1932 after compiling a record of 70 wins, 9 losses, and 56 knockouts, 3 draws. Following his retirement, Wills channeled his earnings into real estate investments in Harlem, New York, where he built a prosperous business portfolio that encompassed apartment buildings and estates. This venture provided financial stability, allowing him to live comfortably in the community he had long been associated with through his boxing prominence. He did good with his money, had a good life after boxing. Wills remained active in Harlem's social and economic circles until his health declined. He died on December 21st, 1958 at Jewish Memorial Hospital in New York City at the age of 69. His passing occurred during a newspaper strike in New York, which limited contemporary coverage of the event. It was a newspaper strike going on when he died, so that limited coverage of it. So let's look at the Black Panther's legacy and historical assessment. Legacy and historical assessment of Harry Wills. Achievements and statistical dominance. Just a little review. Harry Wills captured the World Colors Heavyweight Championship 3 times during his career, establishing dominance in the segregated Black heavyweight division. His professional record, as documented by BoxRec, this is not including newspaper, this is a straight record here, compiled 70 wins, 9 losses, 3 draws, 50 knockouts, okay? 82 fights. And let's see, that was from 1911 to 1932, 21-year career, reflecting an 80% knockout ratio and wins, and underscoring his punching power against elite opposition. Now, alternative tallies, accounting for the era's prevalent no decisions rules that excluded many outcomes from official ledgers, estimated around 130 total fights. Okay, but officially BoxRec got it for 82. Including newspaper decisions, he's estimated to fought around 130 times. Wills demonstrated statistical superiority over top contemporaries, particularly in his marathon rivalry with Hall of Famer Sam Langford, whom he faced 22 times with a decided 6-2 record in rendered outcomes alongside 14 no decisions. He also defeated fellow Hall of Famer Sam McVeigh 3 times and engaged Joe Jeanette in 2 no decision affairs, cementing his command of the colored division's premier talent. Against white heavyweight, Wills secured victories over contenders like Gunboat Smith in 1921 and Fred Fulton, while earning a newspaper decision win over Louis Angel Firpo in 1924, further evidencing his versatility and prowess beyond racist barriers. Rankings from the period positioned Wills as the leading heavyweight challenger, peaking at number 1 from 1924 to 1926, and never dipping below 6, a testament to his consistent threat level despite exclusion from world title contention. His knockout efficiency and win streaks against Hall of Fame caliber foes, including multiple triumphs over Jeff Clark, affirm a level of dominance that historians attribute to superior athleticism, durability, and offensive output in an era defined by a grueling, high-volume schedule. In 2003, the Ring magazine recognized Wills' punching potency by including him on its list of the 100 greatest punchers of all time. Now, criticisms and debates on his ranking. Some people think he shouldn't be ranked up as high as that because he didn't fight, never fought for the regular heavyweight title, but that's not his fault. Okay, but yes, some historians argue that. Criticisms and debates on his ranking. Historians and boxing analysts have debated Harry Wills' placement among the all-time great heavyweights, with rankings varying widely due to his dominance over top contenders, contrasted against his failure to secure a world title shot. Proponents of high rankings, such as those placing him in the top 5 or 10, emphasize his victories over elite fighters like Sam Langford, Sam McVeigh, Joe Jeanette, Louis Firpo, and Kid Norfolk, arguing these feats establish him as a premier heavyweight outside the color line from approximately 1917 to 1926. Such assessments highlight his record of 70 wins, including 56 by knockout, against limited opposition due to racial barriers, positioning him as potentially superior to champion Jack Dempsey in skill and endurance. Critics, however, contend the Wills ranking is inflated by revisionist sympathy for his exclusion from title fights rather than empirical proof of supremacy, pointing to his relatively modest knockout rate and perceived reluctance to unleash power against elite foes as evidence he might have faltered against Dempsey's aggression. The critics point to his perceived reluctance to unleash power against elite foes as evidence he might have faltered against Dempsey's aggression, because he had an 80% knockout rate. Critics argue that without defeating the era's recognized champion, despite negotiations collapsing in 1926 over financial and racial disputes, Wills' resume lacks the definitive benchmark of a title win, rendering top 10 claims speculated. This view is echoed in broader historical lists that rank him outside the elite tier, such as 18th or 19th overall, attributing his high contender status more to the absence of white challengers than unmatched ability. The debate often hinges on counterfactuals. Simulations suggest Wills' technical boxing and stamina could have neutralized Dempsey's power, yet detractors cite his later career losses. For example, to Tommy Lockwood in 1926 and Paulino Escudun in 1927, as signs of vulnerability against faster, harder-hitting styles. Boxing historians like those of the publication Fight City acknowledge Wills as vastly underrated, but note the era's segregated matchmaking limits direct comparisons, urging caution against overranking based on unverified potential rather than verified dominance over all available talent. Ultimately, While Will's statistical edge over contemporaries like Bill Tate and Billy Miss supports elite status, the absence of a Dempsey class perpetuates skepticism, with rankings reflecting a balance between proven feats and untested hypotheses. But it wasn't his fault he didn't get a title shot, so you can't hold that against him. Yeah. Honors and recognition for the Black Panther. What's up, Akeem? Salute. Akeem Shabazz. Happy Friday, my friend. We're talking about Harry Wills right now. We're going to get to some other Black boxing pioneers from that period in a moment. Early 20th century. Some of them started in the late 19th century. Okay, but honors and recognition. Okay, Wills held the World Colored Heavyweight Championship from 1915 to 1926, defeating top Black heavyweights including Sam Langford in multiple fights and maintaining an undefeated streak in that division. This title recognized his dominance among non-white contenders during an era of racial segregation in boxing, where it was segregated from the world heavyweight crowd. Posthumously, Wills was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 1992 as an old-timer, honoring his career record of 70 wins, 9 losses, 3 draws, 56 by knockout, plus numerous no-decision fights, and his status as a top-ranked heavyweight contender from 1913 to 1924. Modern assessments, such as BoxRec rankings, place him among the top 10 heavyweights globally during that period, and is number 1 from 1915 to 1917, reflecting recognition of his skill despite barriers to title fights. And let's just look at a little summary, last little summary, and this is it for the Black Panther, okay? Professional boxing record. Official record summary. Harry Wills' official professional boxing record, as documented by BoxRec, stands at 70 wins, 9 losses, 3 draws, 56 knockouts in 82 official fights, spanning from his debut in 1911 against Battling Jim Johnson in New York City to his final fight in 1932 against Louis Sullivan, also in New York. Of his victories, 56 ended by knockout, reflecting his reputation as a powerful puncher, while he suffered 5 knockout defeats. And that's an 80% knockout ratio. This tally excludes numerous no-decision fights, common in the pre-1920 era, which were not formally recorded as wins or losses under contemporary rule. Unofficial fights and era-specific context. Wills participated in numerous no-decision fights, a common practice in jurisdictions like New York prior to the 1920 Walker Law, which mandated official decisions, except in cases of knockout or disqualification. Yeah, that's when the judges came in. These fights, often the newspaper decisions, often against elite Black heavyweights, including 22 encounters with Sam Langford, resulted in 6 wins, 2 losses, and 14 no decisions for Wills against Langford. He also defeated Sam McVeigh 3 times and engaged in 2 no decision fights with Joe Jeanette, contributing to a pattern of frequent high-level intra-racial matchups that were not fully reflected in official tally. Contemporary records from the New York Public Library archives credit Wills with 475 victories in roughly 480 total engagements, encompassing exhibitions, sparring, and professional fights beyond the 82 fights documented in modern databases like BoxRec. The prevalence of unofficial fights stemmed from era-specific regulations and racial segregation in boxing. Before 1920, New York fights limited official outcomes to knockouts or draws, with newspaper decisions serving as informal assessments, which obscured comprehensive record for fighters like Wills, who competed exclusively extensively in such format. Post Jack Johnson's 1915 loss, the informal color line barred black heavyweights from world title contention, confining Wills, despite ranking as the top challenger, to the world colored heavyweight championship, which he captured 3 times between 1918 and 1925, and fights against white non-title opponents like Louis Firpo in no decision affairs. This segregation enforced by promoters, athletic commissions, and racial prejudices, echoing John L. Sullivan's 1892 refusal to fight black contenders, limited Wills to defensive styles against whites to mitigate backlash while allowing aggressive exchanges in black heavyweight rivalries, further inflating unofficial fight counts. Such practices prioritize avoiding interracial title clashes amid fears of riot, as seen in failed negotiations for Wills Dempsey fights in states like Michigan. There you have it, the life and career of the Black Panther, Harry Wills. Now let's look at this is the Black Foursome of the Team, 1910 to 1919. Black Foursome of the Team. Okay, now. Okay, that's Sam Langford, Jack Johnson, Joe Jeanette, and Joe Gans. And there's the Boston Bone Crusher. Okay. Good time. And I have 10 minutes and it's 3:17. Okay, excuse me for like 2 minutes. Okay. From 120 back was to 0, and I'll be back by the time you get to 0. Excuse me. Hello. Okay. All right, here I come. Okay, sorry about that. We're back. Okay. 2 minutes. All right. Oh man, look like some people came in. Wow. Okay. Yeah. The Black Foursome of the Team. Sam Langford, Jack Johnson, Joe Jeanette, and Sam McVeigh. Okay. At the turn of the 20th century, 4 of the greatest boxers to ever set foot in the ring came to be known as the Black Foursome of the Teens. Those four fighters will forever be remembered at the height of pugilistic history. The 4 fighters are heavyweight: Joe Jeanette, Jack Johnson, Sam McVeigh, and possibly greatest of the 4, Sam Langford. Sam Langford is considered one of the greatest fighters to ever set foot in a boxing ring from any era. He fought successfully against fighters in every weight class, from lightweight to heavyweight. Like so many other great black fighters that happened to be born at that time, very few were given a chance to fight for a title. Langford was no exception. Langford was born on March 4th, 1883, in Nova Scotia, standing only 5 feet 7 inches tall. In his 21-year boxing career, Langford fluctuated in weight between 139 and 204 pounds. Known as the Boston Bone Crusher, in his more than 290 pro fights, he would fight anyone at any weight, sometimes being outweighed by as much as 50 pounds or more. Within 18 months of his first professional fight, Langford beat lightweight world champion Joe Gans. 2 weeks later, Langford fought welterweight champion Jack Blackburn at a catch weight of 142 pounds. The catch weight was so that even if Langford won the fight, there would be no chance of him winning Blackburn's title. On December 25th, 1905, Langford fought the first of 13 fights against heavyweight Joe Jeanette. Losing the first fight by an 8th round TKO, the two men went on to fight to several draws until finally in December 1913, Langford beat Jeanette in a 20-round decision. Langford also fought heavyweight champions Jack Johnson in 1906. It took Johnson 15 rounds to beat his much smaller adversary. After the fight, Johnson told the media it would be the last time he would fight Langford. Johnson said it was too hard and took too long to get this title to take a chance of losing it to Sam Langford. Okay? He said Sam Langford was the toughest little son of a bitch that ever lived. Okay, Jack Johnson. Let's talk about Jack, the Galveston Giant. Jack Johnson fought for 14 years before he was given a chance to fight for the heavyweight title. Having pursued the current heavyweight champion at the time, Tommy Burns, literally around the world, Johnson finally got his chance to fight Burns on December 26, 1908. Johnson finally caught up with Burns in Australia in 1908. The heavyweight championship fight was held at Rushcutters Bay in Sydney, Australia. Had it not been for the fact that the Canadian-born Burns was guaranteed $30,000 to take the fight, it is most probably never would have happened in the first place. And you had $30,000 in 1908. Good little piece of money. Now, Johnson went on to give Burns a beating for 14 rounds until the police stepped in to stop the fight. It was that day in Australia, December 26, 1908, that the first black heavyweight champion of the world was crowned. The title belonged to Johnson, and every promoter in the United States was looking for the Great White Hope to get the title back in the hands of a white fighter. Johnson earned his title fighting many of the all-time greats to get it. Among those he fought were Sam Langford, Joe Jeanette. He knocked out the great Bob Fitzsimmons in 2 rounds. When he won the title from Burns, he defended against Philadelphia's Jack O'Brien, Stanley Ketchel, and the great James J. Jeffrey, who came out of a 6-year retirement and lost over 100 pounds to get in shape to fight Johnson for the title. None of the above was successful at taking the title from Johnson. None of the above. Finally, in April of 1915, after 26 rounds in the brutal heat of Havana, Cuba, Jess Willett knocked Jack Johnson out to win the heavyweight title. Supposedly, Johnson was knocked unconscious in the 26th round. Rumor has it that Johnson threw the fight. The last picture of the fight was of Johnson flat on his back, shielding his eyes from the sun, hardly the act of a man who was knocked unconscious. Shielding his eyes from the sun. Okay, Joe Jeanette is next. Joe Jeanette. Like we said before, if you were born black in that era, the chances of getting a title fight were slim to none. Many of these fighters fought each other repeatedly just to get a fight in order to make enough money to support their families. This was the situation for the third member of the Black Foursome of the Teens, Joe Jeanette. Just like the fighter he most admired, Sam Langford, Jeanette was allowed to fight title holders, but usually written into their contract was a clause barring them from winning a title. Jeanette was a typical example of one of the many great black fighters having to fight one another. He fought Sam Langford 13 times, Sam McVeigh, another one of the great foursome, 5 times. He also had several fights with ring greats, Morris Harris 4 times, Black Bill 10 times, battling Jim Johnson 9 times, and Hall of Fame fighter Harry Wills 3 times. Many of these fighters went to Europe to fight, where they had a much better chance of being treated fair financially. Of the 5 fights Joe Jeanette fought Sam McVeigh, they fought 2 of the fights in Paris. In February of 1909, they met for the second time, according to most records. In that fight, the two gave what came to be called a lackluster performance, as the fans let their opinion known after the fight by throwing programs and other garbage into the ring. Both fighters decided to give the fans another fight 2 months later. The 2 fighters agreed to fight a ring battle with no round limits. The resulting fight turned out to be one of the greatest boxing marathons in pugilistic history. McVeigh scored a total of 27 knockdowns in the fight. Jeanette made a miraculous comeback in the 19th round and seized control of the fight. As the fight reached the 40th round mark, Jeanette clearly controlled the fight, but still wasn't able to finish McVeigh off. Finally, after 49 grueling rounds, McVeigh couldn't continue, and Jeanette won the fight. Wow. And there is Sam McVeigh. He's number 4. Then we got the old master. That'll be it. There's Sam McVeigh. The 4th member of the Black Foursome was Sam McVeigh. As a heavyweight fighter, McVeigh was a strong, durable fighter who possessed considerable brute strength. McVeigh fought mostly named black fighters during his 19-year career. McVeigh did win what was called the Colored Heavyweight Championship of the world. He won the title by beating Jack Johnson in 1903, before Johnson won the legitimate heavyweight title from Tommy Burns in 1908. McVeigh was born, Johnson vacated the title. That's how McVeigh got it in 1903, right? Johnson had won it, then he vacated. I believe it was 1908, because he got his shot and won the regular heavyweight title. That's when he let the colored go, and Sam McVeigh was the next champion. Leave him at it might have been Joe Jeanette in their first fight before that vacant shot. McVeigh was born in 1884 in Wilder, Texas. He stood just shy of 6 feet tall and weighed right around 205 to 215 pounds. McVeigh, not unlike other black fighters of his era, was limited to fighting only other black athletes. McVeigh, like the other 3, repetitiously fought the same men over and over, having fought the best of the group, Sam Langford, no less than 15 times. He also fought in marathon fights, some up to 50 rounds. As we conclude this story of 4 of the greatest boxers in the history of the sport, one can only imagine how far such great athletes might have gone in this sport if they had been born in a different era. These were 4 of the greatest boxers in any era of the sport. Sam Langford, Jack Johnson, Joe Jeanette, and Sam McVay. Okay, and finally, the old master. Okay, be our final pioneer, the old master, Joe Gans from Baltimore, Maryland. Is the old master. Okay. We might get a little late time after we get the old master in. Link is for everybody. We get the link. Okay. Everybody. Okay. The old master, Joe Gans. Let me refresh this. Okay. Born in Baltimore, Maryland, November 25th, 1874, though reported at his deathbed placed his birth date in 1871. This rare-fisted phenomenon came from a poor family and went to work early in life on the Baltimore docks as an oyster shucker and fishmonger. Joe is reported to have been born under several names: Gamp, Gans, and Gaines, but early on took the name Gans, and for all eternity, it stuck. At his deathbed, the fighter that reportedly earned over $250,000 during his career as a boxer was destitute, but accompanied by several friends and family, including his wife Martha, foster parents, Mr. and Mrs. Gant, Kid North, who had assisted Joe in his journey from Prescott, Arizona, and lifelong friend, Don Pendleton. Joe Gans, the Baltimore Wizard, the old master, died at 8:03 on a Wednesday morning, August 10th. Hello, testing. Okay, testing. I guess I'm back. This is crazy thing. Just I don't even remember where I was at. Okay, yeah, everybody left. I don't blame it. Oh boy, I don't even remember where we was talking about Joe Yans. Something just went out. Okay, let's finish it up. Hey. What's up, Thomas Hill? Internet just went out on me. I don't even remember where we were, but we was talking about Joe Gans. Yeah, but Joe Gans had tuberculosis, and this guy took him to this doctor. The doctor said he was real sick. He said he was in the finishing stages of it, and the doctor was shocked when the guy told him that this was a light heavyweight boxing champion of the world. And the doctor was like, "This guy, sick as he is with tuberculosis, he's a boxing champion." He's in absolute shock. Yeah, but Joe Gans, he was very sick at that point. Okay, well, let's continue with it. Yeah, the doctor was in shock. The old master. But yeah, we just looked at some black boxing pioneers today, that's all. Yeah, this was just a look at Joe Yance, the old master from Baltimore, Maryland. Yeah, everything was going good before the thing went out on me. But yeah, we'll be back next week with another week of boxing history. Even Joe Gans, BoxRec has him listed as 147 wins, 10 losses, 16 draws in the 100 knockout club, 101 knockouts. Okay, that's 157, like 173 fights in his career. That's not counting newspaper decisions. That's just straight up regular fights. Okay, 173, and only lost 10. Out of 173 fights. Incredible. The old master. Well, everybody enjoyed Black Boxing History Week this week. Covered the Colored Heavyweight Championship yesterday. Black Pioneers today. Wednesday was what was Wednesday? Let's see. What was Wednesday? Wednesday was Black Boxing History. Yeah, we did the little timeline through Black Boxing History. The Murderers Road Fighters. Yeah. I guess everybody thought I had went off the air. This thing just blanked out on me. Crazy. You got 2 separate internet services, and both of them went out. Gee. But it's all good. Let's do boxing. Coming up next. Unbiased, balanced boxing talk. Arnie boxing later on tonight. Round 9 from the Cash Sports family. Arnie boxing. History, current events called fights, wrestling, boxing, UFC, everything. A little bit of everything over there on Arnie boxing. Mm-hmm. 01 and D1 and old school. I said 01 and D school. D1 and old school tonight. The Angry White Men, 10 o'clock. So got a big lineup coming up for Friday. I'm way down. I'm like the first fight on the card, first act on the card. Get you warmed up. All these good shows we got coming up. Just doing about 10 minutes. There we go. All right. So that's going to be it. Thomas Hill, King Shabazz, Mike Rem, Mike Mazik, Arnie Boxing, Technique, Crush the Legend, and Miss Cass. Appreciate everybody. Everybody enjoy your weekend. We got Effie Jogway, Charles Martin tomorrow in action. The big one is next weekend. Mario Barrios and Ryan Garcia. A lot of people counting Mario out. I'm not. Great card though. Gary Antoine, and Hiriaka, Richardson Hitchens, Oscar Duarte, Frank Martin, and Harry Albright. 3 title fights on the card. Can't beat that. But if it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Box Storian bringing you all of that boxing history. Everybody have a great weekend.